I'm Jeff Eagle. It's my wife Teri. This is our daughter Maria. She is 7 and she has Charge syndrome. And this is our son Jack, and he is 5.
I think about day 1 or 2 we found out about her vision. She has bilateral colobomas. And probably within the first month, the next 3 or 4 weeks, we discovered about her hearing loss. She's profoundly deaf in both ears. Terrified.
Yeah, very scary.
To find out about the vision loss, it was very frightening. And then to later think that she may also, to find out that then on top of that, she may also be deaf. It was, unimaginable at the moment. At the time, I kept thinking, Helen Keller, how in the world am I going to raise a child with this kind of deficit? But there were so many medical issues going on at the time that I don't know. You just
prioritize.
You just gotta prioritize.
Right. Get her healthy and get her home and deal with the rest as it comes, which is how we processed all that. It was a lot to process.
I think we were feeling isolated at first. Early on, Maria had so many medical issues. She had heart surgery and she had a trach and a feeding tube and was on a BiPAP machine, and so we weren't very mobile. And when we did go anywhere, it was a big production. So I think we initially felt homebound. And then, we didn't have nursing care at home, so very seldom were we able to, get away to, outside of the home. But that's, there's isolation there. There's, I think, feelings of a little isolation around just the grief and anxiety and stress that our friends and our family have been amazing and supportive, and they have embraced Maria like she was their own. But no one can fully comprehend, the grief and the stress that comes with, a child with so many medical needs. So I think, and you don't want to, you get together with people and you kind of tuck all that away. So there's a little isolation there. I don't know, what do you?
Yeah, I think everybody went out of their way to include us, in activities and tried to explain to their own children what they would experience with Maria. And the neat thing is, in the last 7 years with that, with Maria being around the other children, is, they've been able to experience special needs in a different way than most school children would. So that's very kind of refreshing that they treat her as a cousin or a friend of a family, and not some little girl who has all of these deficits. But in the beginning, with the isolation, just to add to that, because of her other health issues, being born in the wintertime and all that, the hospital and the staff were kind of, hey, don't encourage a lot of visitors, because her immune system was, depleted. And so that, that was, we were nesting, I guess you could say, in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then the summer came and things changed, didn't they?
And I think what we notice now, life is so different now. Maria is medically stable. She's, independent in so many ways, and we're on the go, and she's involved in everything that we do. But what we do notice is isolation from the standpoint of her peers. Yes. Maria doesn't interact with other children, and other children don't always interact with Maria. And so she can be in a room full of children and be sitting alone. And so that is something that, we notice now. She loves people, she loves adults, she wants to be snuggled, she wants to love on you, she wants to be held. But, from a peer standpoint, it's you know, definitely something that we notice now. I think all of our therapists and our nurses and the doctors early on guided us to the right resources. We got involved with early intervention and the Help Me Grow program and the Cincinnati Association for the Blind right away, and the Regional Infant Hearing Program right away. And so those people came into our lives and helped us to not only process what Maria was experiencing, but gave us ideas on how to interact with her and how to help her best use her vision, and how to help her, you know, at the time help use whatever sound or auditory input that, you know, we could offer her. So they were a great support for us.
Yeah, and also the team at Children's Hospital was really pretty awesome. I mean, they really make you felt like you're part of a family, and there were other people there that were going through similar things, and maybe not both deaf blindness, but also, you know, one version or the other. And really the thing when we came home with Maria, we have a lot of family here in Cincinnati and Dayton, and we were surrounded by a lot of help right away. And the other thing was, you know, she was a baby, so we treated her like a baby.
Yeah.
You know, didn't worry about what are you going to do when she's 16, you know. So
I would say the first 2 years, it was all about keeping her medically stable and out of the hospital, basically alive. About age 3, you know, little things. Maria started to sit up. Maria started to stand in a pony walker. Little things. She started school, and that started making a difference. You know, by age 4 and 5, she started taking tastes in her mouth. Probably between 5 and 6, 5 and 7 has been the greatest. I think we've seen the greatest changes in her just growth. This past year and a half has been.
okay.
Yeah,
right.
She's had the greatest
All right. No.
improvements, I should say. So yes, it evolved.
Did you know that she can walk by herself with no holding? Yeah.
Do you help her practice that?
No, she does it on her own. Well, you know what? She comes, what we do is Mommy sit in one chair, and me and Dad are sitting in the other chair. So, Maria starts with Mommy, and then she walks over by herself with no help, going over to me and Dad. But we have to tell her. But she doesn't know what we're doing. So we have to tell her. It takes a while for her to understand. It does.
Okay. Let's see
This
what's
is
going on.
time for copy game.
That's the sign for copy.
Gotta get her to look at you.
Maria. Hey, Maria.
She
Maria.
sees out of her right eye.
Maria. Looky. Maria, look. Copy game. Copy game. Do it.
She needs to initiate usually, but let's see if she does. Here, give her the old slip.
Maria.
This first,
Slip.
You see blinds and the boom?
There you go.
See?
All right. Good job. Wanna try another one?
She did it.
She's working. She does very subtle things sometimes. We don't know what's going on inside of here. They can tell you all about her heart and her lungs and her trach and her vision and her hearing, but nobody really knows what's going on inside of her head. So that's the fundamental, what can she process, and she's surprising us every day.
Mm-hmm.
There are certainly some people that have stepped up and really taken the lead with Maria, whether it be her nurse or her the interpreter or even the physical therapist who has been really awesome here with Cincinnati Children's, has done very much for her and her ability to get her equilibrium and be more mobile. And then as far as the health side, I mean, Dr. Arjman and his whole team have created a little girl who routinely would just have apnea after apnea after apnea, and it was difficult, and so now she's doing great from that aspect. And that has evolved into the feeding and the growth, and so, if anybody's looking at this and saying, my kid's not sleeping real well, go see your airway specialist and get a trach. Best thing we ever did for her. Really made a world of difference, didn't it? Yeah. Now it's gone. You don't need it anymore. Yeah.
I think at times it's felt disjointed. Everybody kind of comes in and works on their particular area of expertise. And sometimes we just wish there'd be like a IEP for all the medical and therapists, and where everybody sits down and has a powwow together, sharing ideas and goals and progress and whatever. Sometimes I feel like I've had to be the liaison between, the doctors and the appointments and things like that.
I think, first of all, if it's your first child with an IEP, it can be intimidating because you don't know. And so you kind of look to the school district to help guide you. And they do a pretty good, and here locally, they've done a very good job. They understand, as we were talking about this earlier, that they try to accommodate all children with special needs. So whether it's a child who can't feed himself or can't talk or in a wheelchair, and then that's your, this is the parameters by which your child is going to be measured. And so we're going through here and we're just running down the checklist, and we filled in a lot of blanks, because she's got it all. So they guide you. It was intimidating, but in the beginning we all realized that amount of work, that foundation is just very important going forward, so that you can build on it and master the small things. And she will, and move on to the next thing, and don't underestimate them. You aim a little higher than you think that they're really capable, and she's done very well with that, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think one thing that's been very helpful is that Jeff and I have been involved in Maria's classroom experience. We've been in contact with most of the therapists and teachers. We've participated and observed a lot of her activities at school, and so we've had lots of discussions before we even got to the IEP table, and that has helped, because there's a lot of dialogue that happens just while you're watching Maria work with the therapist or discuss with the teacher outside of the meeting. So I think that's been a big help, because coming to the table has been relatively, it's been a very positive experience, but we've already had a lot of input with the therapist prior to getting there about what we want to see Maria, do and accomplish. Maria's therapy, all of her different therapies, OT, PT, speech, mute, or whatever it was probably more therapy for us because it gave us a chance to talk to the professionals and ask questions and hear what they would witness with other children, and just kind of be a sounding board. But also we were able to observe how they would interact with Maria, and then that would help give us ideas on how we could interact with Maria and model that at home. I want Maria to be happy and safe and independent in her own way, and we want her to have friends, and we want her to feel some purpose in her life, whatever way that may be for her.
Well, you know, for me, we have a strong faith in God, and we always like to sing the song that you hear about in The Sound of Music about Maria. And in the beginning, I always thought, you know, she'd be a great little nun. In fact, she dressed up like one at Halloween. But I don't know. Really, you know, the sky's the limit for her as we continue to watch her grow. But there's no question that we still have the same fears and, you know, how is this going to work that we did when she was born. So that there's no good answer. I don't think there ever is an answer. You just continue to watch them grow and see where they want to go.
Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And just take it one step at a time. And, you know, like Jeff said earlier, just hold them and hug them and love them.
Let them be babies.
Let them be babies, and know that the details will come in time. You don't have to know it all right now, and you'll figure out at each, you know, step of the way how to handle that moment.
The resources from the project, and I attended a one-day seminar up in Columbus, and it was eye-opening. We're becoming a little more aware, not aware, but a little more involved with some of the activities as well as the other families here in town. And Maria has met some of the other children, but each one is unique. And our initial kind of feeling was, let's see what the older kids, how they're turning out, so to speak. And a little refreshing. Different kids are going off to college and doing things that we just had no idea was even possible. So it's an evolution, certainly. We are her advocates. We are going to absolutely make sure that she is going to be able to qualify for everything that she qualifies for, and, you know, going after the waiver, and which we actually turned down in the beginning because we didn't know what that even was. You know, we were a little bit, at least I was a little bit undereducated on that. And of course that trips the Medicaid card, and so that's an important little financial piece. If anybody needs the Medicaid card, you better get it, because it will help you out, even if you don't think you need it.